It's up for grabs now!
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira!
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it!
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Very, very welcome to another episode of the Arsenal Lounge. This was the Monday night show. We couldn't do last night, and today, unfortunately, Lev has got family commitment. He can't be with us, and Tom is at work. So it's just me and Mo. How are you, Mo? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Do you know what? It feels like a long time since Arsenal lost to Southampton. So it's just weird because usually we do it the day after or the Monday after, and it's like fresh in the mind. Just that one extra day, I kind of feel like it's quite far away. But maybe that's also because I'm very keen to forget it all as well.
It's definitely it's one to forget. It's why don't we start there actually? We did a show prior to this, and everybody predicted an Arsenal win. Right?
Well, I don't think so. I think Lev predicted a Southampton win.
Lev predicted Southampton win, but he didn't get the score line right. He just predicted the Southampton win. But I was thinking there is no chance that these guys will go there. Chelsea just put 6 past Southampton, right? And on the day, we didn't obviously know this, but on the day, Spurs lost as well. Tottenham lost. So there would have been even more motivation for them to go and win. And they went, not only they lost, for me, it was the manner of the loss. We were very toothless. First half, there was nothing exciting going on. Second half, a little bit. And then eventually we lost. What was your thoughts on the game?
I really, really thought when Tottenham lost 1-0 to Brighton, it's just funny just how linked it is because obviously we've just lost to Brighton at home. Now Tottenham have got Brighton at home. You'd think that they would kind of be like, oh, perfect. There can't be more of a comparison. It's the same team, just a few miles away in North London. And if Arsenal lose to them and Tottenham beat them, you can really set a marker down to say we did what you couldn't do within a week. It's not that you're playing at a different stage of the season. Tottenham really had that opportunity to lay a marker down, and they didn't. They bottled it. For Arsenal, I think the players would have been quite relieved. If I was a player or a manager at Arsenal, I would have been very relieved that, what we can do against the same opposition, Tottenham failed to do as well. So actually the narrative shifts. It's not a case of Arsenal are bottlers, Tottenham are the ones who are going to get top 4. It becomes a case of, actually Brighton are a decent team and they can cause problems, and Arsenal now have got a second chance. With all of that happened before, I thought it's a guarantee that Arsenal are going to come out and really, really hit the ground running and have wind in their sails. And I thought we were going to see it. Really thought we were going to see it from the off. And man, I think we started okay, like 10 minutes, and then that was it, gone. And I couldn't quite believe what I was seeing. If you watch that game without knowing any context about what stage of the season you're at, or, the race for the top 4, or the fact that Tottenham just lost before, or Arsenal just lost their previous 2 games, you'd think that this is some meaningless end of season sort of.
It's interesting, Mo, you say this because Arteta's post-match press conference is actually opposite of what you're saying right now. And he said if anybody came and watched the game without knowing the score, they would have told you that Arsenal would have won comfortably. I failed to see how, right? Maybe except odd moments in second half, which was not enough. And also he started talking about comparing this to a basketball game or something, which I struggled to understand as well. So what did you... I mean, that's not what I want to hear from the guy who is on 3 consecutive losses. Games that you should have won. I expected 9 out of 9, to be honest with you. And now he's coming out with things like, it was not a basketball game, or if anybody watched this, because I didn't feel this way. I don't know about you.
I'm really, really tired of it. Like, for managers to still speak about shots and possession and then almost kind of like have this underlying implied conclusion that means you deserve to win the game or that you should have won the game. I'm really tired of it. We just saw Atletico Madrid, playing Man City. They have chosen a style of football that, if it were basketball, they would always lose. In the big games. They don't always do this at home in La Liga, but they've adopted that style. Burnley, for example, they've survived as a Premier League team for many, many years without really winning the basketball game. I get what Mikel Arteta is saying, and that in basketball, if you applied all of these statistics, possession and attempts, to a basketball team, 100 out of 100, they would win. But what use, what relevance is there in terms of talking about that? For me, that all that tells me is that you still feel hard done by, that you didn't win the game. And actually, the longer you go on feeling hard done by and feeling as though you deserve to win the game with this false kind of conclusion of what you deserve based on these irrelevant facts like shots and possession, the further you are away from actually fixing it. It doesn't matter how many shots you have. It's about the quality of those shots. Over 10% of our shots were from Granit Xhaka just trying to hit them from the edge of the box. They got blocked and everything like that. They weren't high-quality opportunities. We had Saka with a high-quality opportunity. Other than that, I don't really feel like Fraser Forster had to make saves that
he made 3 or 4 good saves. Yeah, but as you said, not enough for us to feel hard done by.
Yeah, and the thing is, Shaheen, as well, the saves that he made, had he let them in, he would have been criticised. The only one he would have escaped criticism for was the Saka chance. Now, for me, if a goalkeeper has made a save and it's kind of like a save that if he didn't make, he wouldn't get criticised, that's the sort of thing that you could turn around and say, you're right, that's obviously a great chance then. But no, I'm sorry, we didn't do enough of that. I'm sick of Arteta talking about other pointless stats at the end of the game. The fact of the matter is we're not clinical. That is the big fat slap you in the face problem at Arsenal Football Club. We are not clinical. Doesn't matter how much possession, how many shots you have. Teams look at us and think they don't have that killer instinct. Let them have the possession. Let them have the shots.
Yeah, I saw something that you retweeted actually this morning about Nathan Redmond, I think. Is that he was signing autographs? Somebody asked him, how do you feel about beating Arsenal today? In turn, I said, yeah, they're not very good.
Yeah.
And that probably just sums up where we are right now in terms of how oppositions look at us.
Yeah.
Another thing that was quite interesting to me, Mo, was the fact that during the game, towards the end, both of our fullbacks were taken off. And I couldn't understand that. Why are you taking both of your fullbacks off? Why? And you bring in Pepe. You playing Pepe up front. There was nobody else, to be fair, on him to bring on from the bench again, which goes back to him and the recruitment team of not getting the right players during January. But I could not understand the plan. Like again, I could see ball being walked out to the side, and then Cedric, boom, it puts a cross in. Why are you crossing the ball? For who? Eddie Nketiah is not a header of the ball. Neither is Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard. Nothing. Odegaard was missing again.
Yeah.
For me, that was another game that Odegaard not. And I don't know what he did in the previous 2 games that warranted the manager to give him the armband. I'm surprised there.
Well, I don't think you give a player the armband off the back of 2 games. I think you give him the armband based on the respect he has in the squad and his leadership skills and the way he leads from the front and by example. And I think Odegaard is a leader in that respect. It's hard for a man. A team is the image of a manager, and a captain should be, in my opinion, as ideally an image of the manager as well, or at least someone who really, really believes in the manager's methods. And I feel like Odegaard does that with Arteta in terms of the high pressing, that intense game. Odegaard does that really, really well. Now, an image of a manager, when we're talking about that, it's not in terms of the flair elements of the game. It's not eye the needle pass. That's not what I mean here. What I'm talking about is the work rate that Arteta demands and those non-negotiables. And I think Odegaard does portray that. So I'm happy with him being leader on the pitch, as captain. But to answer your point about taking both your fullbacks off, well, the thing is, would he have done the same if it was Tierney and Tomiyasu? I don't think so. It's because of the fact that we have this squad where the replacements aren't really at that level, so they're much easier to sacrifice. So in a way, with the, when you look at Arsenal's system, the fullbacks are a big part of it. The inverted style of play, Tierney pushing forward on the left, that's quite an important part of our system. The fact that he took both fullbacks off when we're losing 1-0 and we're desperate to win a game after 2 defeats, and he takes them off, which ordinarily at full strength would be a really important part of our system. I think it just goes to show how little faith he has in these guys being able to continue the system that he's trying to play. So there you go.
It was just a very, very disappointing defeat, to be honest with you. And we did a show after the game, and we did another one with Lev the following day. I actually didn't realize this more, but this is the worrying bit, and we're going to come to Chelsea and all that, those things later. The worrying bit for me is we could easily be on the end of 6 straight losses, and that would change the picture dramatically, because 2 of those are against Man United and Tottenham, and these are what you normally call as 6-pointers, okay? Because it's not only that, it's about them as well. Right now, obviously Chelsea one is going to be Chelsea's tomorrow, and then we've got Man United at home, West Ham away, and Tottenham away. How do you feel about this run of game now with everything that is now?
I always expected that we would drop points in this run. So in the past, I'd always been saying to people, we can afford to drop points we can afford to drop points in a way because we had those games in hand. But that required us to carry on winning the games that we have just, kind of played. The fact that we'd lost those games now, I have a massive amount of fear for the games that we're about to play, because whilst previously I was like, no, we can afford to drop points in these games. Now we simply can't. And our season is over. If we perform as badly in the next 3 as we have in the last 3, our season is over. So I'm really nervous, man.
Yeah, it's to be honest with you, I think the season is over as it is.
No, it's not. It's not, Shaheen. Because
for me, because listen, you need a
not.
lot to go wrong with the other teams.
No. If we win our next 4 games,
Tell me.
If we win our next 4 games, what happens to the table?
So you think we'll go to Stamford Bridge and win?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that I think we'll do that. But you cannot say our season is over when we're 3 points behind Tottenham, right? So if we win all of our next 4 games and Tottenham win all of their games other than losing to Arsenal, we've bridged that gap on them. Man United are level on points with us. And, clearly if we beat them, we'll go 3 points ahead. And on top of that, we've got a game in hand. So it's all within our season. And internally at the club and the manager, they have to be saying that. They have to be saying that it's still in your hands. As much as you've tried to flipping self-destruct, it's still in your hands. And this now, please don't get this twisted for me saying this is what I think is going to happen. But this now is a massive opportunity for the players to prove to everyone that those last 3 games, that's not reflective of us and our lack of character. That was just a bad 3 games. If they go and win the next 3 games or the next 4 games, people will be turning around saying, well, hold on a second, maybe we're a bit too quick to judge. And it's possible.
Yeah,
not probable, but possible.
I hear that more, but I really can't see it happening. And I'm still trying to get my head around the opportunity that we've passed. You understand? Does that make sense what I'm saying? That we passed on an opportunity. We're in top 4. Let's go back 2-3 weeks ago. We're in top 4. We've got 2-3 games in hand.
Yeah.
Very, very healthy position. You've got a relatively easy run of games coming up. Crystal Palace away, which was the hardest out of 3. And then you've got Brighton at home and Southampton at home.
Yeah.
Southampton away, the team that Chelsea just put 6 past. And then you think, we can't lose all 3. But we can't even discuss the loss. Why? And I'm still thinking how a professional footballer a professional football club and a professional football manager can pass on this opportunity. I'm still struggling with that.
Well, look, it happens. Look, remember Liverpool going for the title. They played well all season, and then they 3-0 up away at Palace, and they go and draw 3-3. Like, just these mad things happen. Look at PSG against Barcelona. Crazy things happen, right? But ultimately, you know,
Yeah, but that's PSG, Barcelona, man. Like, you expect it to a certain degree.
No,
Brighton
come
at
on.
home.
No, you don't.
Brighton at home. I don't expect anything except a win.
All I'm saying is crazy things can happen. And to me, the fact that Arsenal have lost these 3 games is crazy. It's absolutely mad. And as you say, we're throwing away an opportunity. But I'm just making the point that look, that has happened in football many times before. All I'm saying now, Shaheen, is that how else can you look at this as a player if you now have these 3 games against your rivals or 4 games against your rivals and you put it right, then actually all is forgiven. Let's be honest about it. All will be forgiven if we beat Chelsea, if we beat United, if we beat West Ham, if we beat Tottenham. Who's really going to still be talking about?
I will be very, very impressed if we come out of this with 12 points. And whether we will or not is a different thing.
Yeah, I repeat, I do not think that will happen. But my question to you is, who will still be talking about Palace, Brighton, and Southampton if we go and win those 4 games?
No
one will really care. We will forgive them. We will say, do you know what? You put it right. And that's what we expected. That's what we want. So that's the only thing that the players can aim to do right now. Unfortunately, I feel like at the end of the season, when we look at the final league table, we will look at those 3 games that we've just lost and we'll say those 9 points or even 7 out of 9 there, that would have got us top 4. And I don't think we will go and win 4 out of 4.
Should we talk about Chelsea tomorrow?
Go for it. After all of my positivity, after all of my this is what the manager needs to tell the players. Yeah, now let's get into the real.
How do you feel about going to Stamford Bridge at the back of everything that has happened? It's quite the opposite of what we've been going through more. They went to Real Madrid and they won. Yes, they still got knocked out. But me and you will watch that game, and that was it. You said that is a really, really top performance.
I never said anything nice about Chelsea. Why are you lying?
No, in terms of going there and getting a result,
I even said to you, Shaheen, that I wouldn't really want to say this publicly, but that was a really, really top performance.
Sorry, and then they went Crystal Palace FA Cup, comfortable win.
Yeah,
they come into this game confident. We're the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
Coming at the back of 3 losses that we should have won, problems in the dressing room, allegedly, which we'll come to. I don't expect anything but a Chelsea win tomorrow.
Yeah, likewise. I think.
Having said that, good old Mr. Canton has predicted a 1-0 Arsenal win.
Wow.
So he's and I gave him plenty of opportunity to change his mind. He said, "No, I'm going to stick with that." So he's optimistic, but I'm not at all, man. I don't. Funny, I always thought United at home will beat them, no problem.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at that now as well for Saturday, and I'm thinking, who's going to score?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's going to score for us? That is the problem. We can have all the position, which we did against Southampton. If you don't have anybody to score for you, what's the point?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the problem. It's like even if we sometimes when you play a big game and you're not the favourites, you kind of think to yourself, in a way, your job is made easier. It's a much more simple game plan. You just go there, you keep it tight, you try and nick a goal. So that might be what happens tomorrow with Chelsea, and we could keep it tight. But my issue is, who the hell gets the goal? Because right now we're toothless. If I'm trying to be positive, the only difference there is we seem to be toothless against teams that can nullify Lacazette or Nketiah. But if we get the opportunity to counter, then on the counter attack, I do believe in Saka, Martinelli, and Smith Rowe. I feel like maybe they could potentially do something. But in all honesty, no, I still can't see us getting a result against Chelsea. Looking at the fixtures, I see Arsenal have got Man United. So we're playing Wednesday, Chelsea. We've got Man United afternoon kickoff on Saturday. Yeah. Chelsea, they've got afternoon kickoff on Sunday. So they've even got the extra day to prepare. If it was the other way around, I might say, look, maybe they might need to rest players, but everything points to a Chelsea win for me.
Yeah, unfortunately. Talking about scoring goals and the lack of scoring goals, rather. What's happening with Lacazette, man? It seems to be there is two debates about this. One, is it a falling out with the manager? Two, or is he actually got COVID? I know you had a bit of a discussion with somebody on Twitter and you wanted to give him a shout out or something. So why don't you start that off?
Yeah, I wanted to shout out Jamal. His Twitter handle is something like "should be verified" or something. And the reason I want to shout him out actually is because I rate the detail in with which he looked at the situation. Because a lot of the time we kind of see a headline and we don't do our investigative work and we kind of maybe reach a false conclusion. But with him, there were two things, right? There was one that was the team news prior to the Southampton game saying Laka's got COVID, and there was another one where it was Arteta in a press conference saying, "I can't, Laka might not be
private. I can't discuss that,
and I can't speak about those issues." Now, if you don't do your due diligence and look into the order of what these things of these things and when they were released, then you can reach a conclusion that Arsenal said Laka's got COVID. And then Arteta's doing a press conference saying, no, he might not play, but I can't go into those reasons. Mischief makers out there would try and make it so that you believe that the press conference was after that tweet. And I didn't know which was which. So I was a bit confused. But he did his due diligence. So Jamal kind of spelled it out to me and said, no, under GDPR regulations in the UK, you can't go and release information about a member of staff, in this case, a player, and their medical information or their illnesses. So Arteta would not have been allowed. He obviously would have been briefed going into that press conference. You can't say Laka's got COVID. So he's sort of dealt with it in a vague manner that's open to interpretation. But then the club, once they have got permission, they've come out and said Laka's got COVID. I think it does point to Arteta's inexperience that given your track record with players, how many fallings out you've had, please be a bit more careful with your words.
No.
Please be a bit more careful.
So you think there is no falling out?
No, absolutely not. No, based on the information that we've got, it would be, I think, a little kind of mischievous for us to start talking about falling out. There's absolutely no evidence, not a single drop of evidence to suggest that it could be a falling out. It's COVID. That completely makes sense within the information that's been released. Now, if there is falling out, that's not impossible, but we should not be speculating on that because there's nothing to suggest that, and there's everything to suggest it was just COVID.
Yeah. Even though there's pictures of him. Go on.
The only thing that I can imagine people in the comments, whatever, might be saying in terms of a falling out is that based on the stuff Lacazette has been saying in the media, yeah, I can imagine a manager might fall out with a player over that.
Yeah. And how do you feel about that? Lacazette coming out saying these things. I want to go play for a Champions League club. I saw a lot of people having a go saying, oh, how dare you? If you want to play Champions League, stay here, score the goals so we can play Champions League. I think he's entitled to say he wants to go play for a Champions League club.
It's yeah, he is entitled to it. And also this is part of the game, right? He'll be able to leave on a free. So he is now just sending a message to certain Champions League clubs out there. I can be yours if you want. The point is, though, is the complete lack of awareness, the complete cheek and the audacity of Lacazette, who has not scored a goal in open play in almost half a season. The amount of players in the league that have had more shots on goal, that have scored more goals than Lacazette is appalling, absolutely appalling. And I'm not talking about just strikers. His hold-up play, his all-round game against Brighton was an absolute joke of a centre-forward's performance, an absolute joke. Nothing stuck to him. He bullied nobody. He offered no threat. It was awful. The fact then that you come out and still play that game without any shred of self-awareness to realise just how culpable you are in Arsenal's lack of threat, and I'd say lack of threat, that's also his nickname, is a joke to me. Have a little bit of decency and just save your comments, because honestly, it It annoys me. Even though he's entitled to say it, it really annoys me. You are a massive reason as to why we are not a Champions League team, and you're talking about you missed Champions League. Like many people have made the point, if he had stepped up, we would have Champions League in the bag.
Because we're struggling with goals now, and he would have certainly helped on that front. Do you think he will go to a Champions League club more?
Probably. Because I'm sure someone will take the gamble on him. It all depends on wages and all that sort of stuff, but I'm sure someone will take a gamble on him. But whichever club does it, I think they're a bit foolish, because just look at his performances. There has been nothing about his performances that suggests that he's Champions League quality right now.
Yeah. Would I be right in saying he's probably got a foot out of the door already?
Yeah, I think when you're out there publicly saying this sort of stuff, then absolutely. And you know what the thing is, like a friend of mine that I talked to about football quite a lot, he was talking about Arteta's lack of control on this squad, the fact that Lacazette is saying these things. It should be one narrative, common sort of things being spoken to the press about. But the fact of the matter is, when a player has got an impending departure, you lose that control. What has the player got to leave? What's the player got to lose? Sorry. So he'll go out.
There's nothing that you can actually threat Alexander. Lacazette is an Arsenal player for about maybe another 3-4 weeks.
You lose leverage. Fine, he might get a week's fine, but I doubt he'll even get that. But you lose all your leverage on a player. What do you think of it, Shaheen?
For me, Mo, it was like, exactly, you're entitled to come out and say what you're looking to do, because we all know you're leaving. We all know you already said that you're leaving. But I agree with what you said. The timing of what you said and the wording of what you said. Is it wise to come out and say, I want to go to a Champions League club, knowing what's happening inside of Arsenal? And we are struggling now. Maybe he's seen that 3 losses now. He thinks it's done, it's finished. We're not going to get a game. Maybe he has had a bit of a thing with the manager. I would not be surprised if there was nothing there. And then he's like, oh, you know what? Fuck this kind of thing. I'm off. I don't care. I'm going to go and say all of these things. Maybe. Because if I was Alexander Lacazette, I probably would not have come out and said things like that.
Yeah.
I would have not said anything.
It begs the question that why have we persisted with him and showed so much faith in him if his heart's not in it, or if he is going to leave? We've done the same
because there's nobody else, Mo.
But there was someone else. His name was Aubameyang. You're better off swallowing your pride as a manager and catering to his maybe slight lack of discipline and that sort of thing in the hope that the club isn't worse off. Yeah, but the fact of the matter is, every single striker at our club has been mismanaged in some way, either by the manager or by Vinay and Edu. Aubameyang, you couldn't repair the relationship. He's gone out. Our most clinical striker, he's gone out to Barcelona for free. Lacazette is not going to sign a new contract, talking about wanting to play Champions League football at another club, not scoring any goals, not adding anything in his performances. And Ketia, only ever an impact sub, again, out of contract. Even he's just done a recent interview talking about, there are talks and this and that, and not committing his future to the club. Every single striker at this club has been mismanaged, and Arsenal are not scoring goals. There's a correlation between what goes on off the pitch and what happens on the pitch, and who suffers? Arsenal.
Again, we go back to the January, Mo. That the risk that was taken by the manager, which is part of the recruitment team, right? That, we don't need to sign any players. We're good with what we have. We'll let Aubameyang go. And for me, the more I see these things, more I come to this conclusion that Arteta he doesn't have the ability, or he doesn't want to deal with a difficult situation. As long as you become a little bit difficult and problematic, the first and easiest option is we're going to freeze you out. We're going to write off your contract. Off you go.
Yeah.
I can go back to Ozil, Matteo Guendouzi, Saliba, Aubameyang, possibly Lacazette. All of these guys were, as soon as it got a little bit difficult, write off contract. Yeah. We're going to freeze you out. We'll let you go. To me, it shows an inability to deal with a difficult person of the manager. And it's worrying, because what if you sign a player 2-3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months down the line, you have a problem with the player, what are you going to do? You're going to freeze him out and not deal with the situation, or you don't know how to deal with the situation. So that's,
absolutely.
again, something that needs to be considered with regards to Arteta.
Yeah, Mikel Arteta's man management needs some serious work. And it's understandable. He's a young manager and he's managing players that, might not really rate him. He doesn't have a huge reputation as a player. He hasn't done enough in management in order to command respect and have.
What did he do as a player, Mo? Nothing. Exactly. He was part of a desperate buy by Arsene Wenger after the 8-2 loss we had at Old Trafford. He's won the FA Cup with Arsenal. Prior to that, he has not won anything in his career.
Yeah, and the thing is, so much in football is about reputation and aura and everything. And, unfortunately, he doesn't possess that. So everything that he's going to do is going to be by virtue of what he achieves in management. And he hasn't had long enough to really come
he hasn't had long enough, and he hasn't done well enough.
Exactly.
If I was a player and I'm sitting in the changing room, Patrick Vieira walks through the door, I'll be thinking, I'm going to listen to this guy.
Exactly.
And then Mikel Arteta walks through the door.
Yeah. And then also, let's say, for example, a top manager, an Ancelotti, for example, or an Allegri, if they come and say, we're going to do this, and you're thinking, hold on a second, that's a bit strange. But you look at them and you think, you've achieved everything. So fine. If you're saying something that I don't necessarily agree with, I'm going to buy into it. I'm going to believe in you. Arteta doesn't have that aura just yet. So I think it's been very, very intentional that we've got a very young squad. It's easier for these youngsters to buy into Arteta's methods and what he says and does, and for him to get traction with them. But we've seen too often that with older players, it doesn't seem to work. And what you spoke about in terms of the inability, right? Some people mistake Arteta for being able to do the tough things well because he's happy to just drop the axe on someone. But that's not the tough thing. That's an easy way to deal with a tough situation.
Yeah,
the tough thing for a manager is to get players running through brick walls for you. It's to repair relationships, not just destroy relationships. And we haven't seen that ability from Mikel Arteta. So in terms of being able to deal with tough situations, there's a lot of work to do.
The biggest thing, Mo, with Mikel Arteta, and I've said that to you privately as well, I genuinely don't think the guy feels any pressure whatsoever. And the problem with that is when you don't feel pressure, you make decisions that you think, it's a 50-50. I used the Chelsea game as an example. I said, Thomas Tuchel, he knows his job is on the line. You can't go to Real Madrid away and not perform. Because if you go there and not perform, you're just done. That's how it is with Chelsea. You're out of the door, finished. In Chelsea, you can win the Premier League, you still be out of the job. Right? And then I look at that and I see, right, the guy felt the pressure. He passed on the pressure to the players. Then the players went out to the pitch and performed. Okay? And I look at Arsenal and I think, Mikel Arteta is not under any sort of pressure. Why? Because he's making big decisions, big risky decisions. One, January, we're not going to sign anybody. Right? We're going to be after one player, which I think they were never in for. Right? That's it. You're going to let go of Aubameyang, not replace him. You're going to get rid of one or two other players, not replace him. You're making a massive risk. If he was under any pressure, I'll bet you any money he would not have done this. Then you come at Brighton game. You play Xhaka at left back again. We did a show together last week, and Tom said Mikel Arteta did the exact same thing last year about the exact same time when we were playing Unai Emery's Villarreal. Played a false number 9, Xhaka at left back. He went there, flopped. What happened to your camera, Mo?
Oh.
He went there, right? Didn't get a result, didn't work. Same thing again this time around. If a manager was under pressure, he would never have made any of these decisions. He would never have taken a risk because he knows if he gets this wrong, his job is on the line. That's my biggest problem with Mikel Arteta. And on top of that, he's just gone through games that I thought we wouldn't win, and I still can't get my head around the capitulation that we've had in these 3 games. And surely someone, regardless of how much of Arteta in or whatever it is, surely you have to accept that he bears some responsibility for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the pressure thing is really interesting, but ultimately, if he let me put it this way: if Mikel Arteta is under no pressure, then our anger shouldn't be directed to Mikel Arteta, should it? It should be directed to people that have given him no pressure.
I agree.
It would have to have been communicated to him. Your job is safe, irrespective. So what would you, I mean, come on, let's be really honest about it. At work, if you're reporting into someone and they turn around to you and say, you know what, no targets for you. You can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter what happens.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna punish you at all. Your job is completely safe. You're not going to say to them, no, please, I would like you to make my life more difficult. I would like you to give me pressure. You know, some elite managers that are really, really concerned about their footballing CV would say, well, it doesn't really matter to me because I put pressure on myself. But many people will do what Mikel Arteta is potentially doing, what you're saying, and relax a little bit. It's not his fault.
Talking about Mikel Arteta, Mo, let's assume worst case scenario, right? We'll lose to Chelsea, Man United, West Ham, Tottenham. Let's say we get a draw out of one of them and we lose the other three. Where would that leave him?
Well, we've got Leeds in between at home.
I think we'll beat Leeds at home.
Yeah, exactly. So,
right? I even listen, depending on where we are and where Everton are at the end of the season, if Everton come into Emirates needing something to stay in the Premier League, they will win. Because at that point, after the result we just discussed, we'll probably have nothing to play for. We'll probably be on 7th.
Yeah, but you see what's interesting about that, talking about nothing to play for, that's exactly what you want at this time of season, right? You want teams anywhere between 8th and like 12th or something, you know, to play. We've just played Brighton at home, who are 10th. They are the definition of not having anything to play for. We lost to them. We should want it so much more than Brighton, but we lost to them. Yeah. And we've just played Southampton, who are 12th, and lost to them. And again, nothing to play for. We should want it so much more than Southampton. How have we just lost to two teams who have really got nothing to play for? It just, just really, really bothers me.
Let's assume that we'll beat Leeds at home, right? And we'll beat Everton at home. So that's 6 points. And then we'll draw against Man United. So that's 7 points. Okay? So he will get 7 points. That's worst case scenario, which is quite realistic, actually, right?
Newcastle away, they're safe.
Newcastle away, let's say we get a point as well. So that's 8 points. Okay? Let's say worst case scenario, right? Where would that leave Mikel Arteta comes end of the season?
Probably 8.
After considering, sorry to interrupt you, but considering 2 weeks ago, we're on 4th, 2 or 3 games in hand, very healthy position. Fast forward, end of season, we're probably sitting at 7th, 6th at best.
Yeah.
Everything is falling apart.
If we go on that sort of run that you're talking about, then I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of it we're flipping 8th, honestly. You know, and I don't want to get dragged into that conversation, Shaheen. I don't want to sit here and talk about the worst case scenario because, you know, right now more than ever, I'm going to the game tomorrow. I'm going to that Chelsea game tomorrow. I need to be going to that away game, going into Stamford Bridge with thoughts in my head that actually end up manifesting itself in a way that I would class as support. I need to go there and support my team. If I'm entertaining all of this stuff, I just kind of feel like in my responsibility as a fan, if I'm entertaining all of this and I actually don't believe we don't even have a chance of doing anything, then, like, you know, if everyone went there thinking like that tomorrow, it'd be a crap atmosphere. We need to get behind the team. When it kicks off, it's 0-0. And at that point, we're not losing. There's nothing to get angry about. We need to push the team forward. Because right now, the team is not capable, it seems, of pushing themselves forward. It might need a fan effort. And Arsenal away fans are incredible. And that's what we'll be doing tomorrow.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And once the whistle is blown tomorrow, Arteta in, Arteta out, Kroenke, they all go to the side. It's all about supporting the team. But I'm just curious. I want to know your opinion more. I'm sorry, I'm going to push you on this. Comes end of the season, we're finishing 7th from where we were. Surely not a lot of people can make a case for him to stay.
No, but we're not finishing 7th. Who says we're finishing 7th? This is the thing, Shaheen. Look, we are in a group of teams that are all bottlers. Man United, they're bottling their season, probably intentionally. Arsenal and Tottenham doing it unintentionally, which means that next year Man United could be a problem after they invest and get a decent manager. Yeah. But, I think Arsenal can beat Man United at home. I really do, because United are a joke. Tottenham, they just showed us against Brighton. They're always capable of bottling it. We know that. So we might not even have to do that much. And we might end up sitting there thinking, how the hell are we fourth? But we're going to be fourth. So I'm not going to be... there's no point, Shaheen. There's no point in getting down in the dumps about potential 7th place finish, because even if someone wanted to talk to me about a potential 4th place finish, I'd kind of be saying, is there any point in discussing it? There's nothing to go on right now. It's too hard to read this Arsenal team. A few games ago, I believed in this team and I was happy to talk about a 4th place finish because I believed in them and I felt like, do you know what? This team are proving something. Right now, you can't predict anything.
Yeah, but be careful, Mo. It's always the hope that gets you.
You know what? I'm not hopeful. I'm not hopeful of anything. I honestly find it so hard to predict. Chelsea away, yes, you can easily predict that. But United at home, God knows what could happen.
Yeah,
anything
that's very true. Speaking of which, can we have a prediction for Chelsea away?
2-0 or 3-0 Chelsea?
Which one?
Go for.
I'm going for 2-0 Chelsea. Levy's going for 3-0 Chelsea.
Oh, bloody hell. What's Tom gone for?
Tom is going 1-0 Arsenal. Can we get your predictions, guys, as well in the chat? I'm interested.
This is so depressing. I'll go 2-0 Chelsea.
2-0 Chelsea. All right. So 2-0 me, 2-0 you, 3-0 Lev, 1-0 to Tottenham. Sorry, Tottenham. 1-0 to Arsenal. Tom. There's another thing I wanted to discuss with you, Mo. And it's something that recently has come up with Arsenal getting a consultancy firm to come in and help them realize or recognize the Arsenal way and work on their relationship with fans. To me, it shows two things. One, they acknowledge that there is no relationship with fans. There's a big gap there. Two is they don't know how to fix it, or whatever it is they tried to fix it, it hasn't worked. I'll give you an example. You know this thing they came up with having fans represented on the board, and they've got advisory fan group to the board. So it obviously hasn't worked. Wouldn't it be better to engage with fans and not I'm not talking about fans like myself, fans that are way older than me and fans that have been going to Arsenal for years and years. They'll probably be able to tell them what the Arsenal way or the Arsenal culture is probably a lot better than that company.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't even say that it needs to be older fans. They should definitely be part of it. But there's no point in older fans just specifying it because, with all due respect, you might get a lot of the cannons facing the wrong way. And, it's like, okay, fine, that's great. But that's not going to help anything,
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the younger fans as well that might need to play a part. I saw a tweet yesterday from Ashburton Army on Twitter, and they're talking about doing a tifo display. A tifo display, if you haven't seen it, it's like what you famously see at Dortmund and that sort of thing. I think it'd be quite intricate and quite detailed images. Everyone holds something up and it forms quite a good spectacle. Yeah. Now, no older fan would be saying that, but I love that initiative that Ashburton Army has spoken about, and they'll be trying to put that together against United, I think it is, Man United at home. So I think, they do. I've got no problem with them having this consultancy come in to look at the Arsenal way and to repair the culture in the club. Arteta was also credited with fixing the culture at the club, but, these things don't remain static.
Doesn't work. But Mo, can I ask you something?
But wait, let's be fair to him. He might have improved it a little bit. Part of changing that culture at the club is getting rid of people that aren't going to pull their weight. There will be difficult times, in the initial part of that. And that's what we're seeing this season and even last season. But to clear people like that out, there will be tough times. And, maybe we're going to miss out on Champions League as a result of that. But that culture changing process goes on and on and on. You don't just all of a sudden say, all right, it's done. You continually try and do that and you move with the time. So I'm all for it. If it's going to derive a benefit, go for it.
I've got a question on this here. What do this company that is allegedly going to come and sort this out? What do they know about the Arsenal way?
Well,
Because
they will consult the right people. They will consult ex-players.
who is the right person? Who are the right people?
Ex-players, fans, that sort of thing. That who else is the right people to really lead on what the Arsenal way is, other than people that have lived and breathed Arsenal? So it's not like a Accenture sort of or Deloitte sort of thing where it would just be some people in suits. So and I'm saying this because that would be stupid. I'm just talking logically. It's not that I'm on the inside track and I've been told what the scope of their work is, but clearly it's going to have to be led by people that understand the Arsenal way. So if they came to me, I would have things to say. If they came to 100 other Arsenal fans, they would have things to say. If they go to players like Tony Adams, Lee Dixon, David Seaman, Gilberto, Vieira,
Thierry Henry,
people that have been at Arsenal and succeeded at Arsenal, they're the people you need to speak to.
Okay. And lastly on this topic, what do you think brought this about? Because it kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually.
Timing of it as well, especially after the 3, it's not exactly the best of time for you to come out. Because my first reaction, when I heard this, was, I don't care about that right now. I want 3 points. I don't want to talk about the Arsenal way or the culture of the club right now, where we lost just 3 games to teams that we should have won. This is not a social club. This is a football club. I want you win, you get your 3 points, you compete, and the culture and everything takes care of itself. That was my first reaction. I'm like, get your things right on the pitch.
Yeah, but the thing is, they would obviously argue that all of this work off the pitch translates to work on the pitch. Earlier on, I was talking about how Vinay and Edu are culpable for the lack of pressure on Arteta and then what that translates to on the pitch. So a change in culture, you should, over a long enough timeline, see a benefit on the pitch. So I think the timing is just anything is annoying after 3 defeats, Shaheen. Anything. So the timing is just one of those things where after 3 defeats, they might have planned a long time before that's when they'll announce it. Happens to be 3 defeats. Who the hell knows? But, let's not be overly critical. It's a positive step.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm a lot less concerned with the Arsenal culture and way right now, and I'm a lot more concerned with what's happening on the pitch, because we're a football club at the end of the day. So the first and most important thing they need to get right, I think, is the football and the result.
But listen, what you're implying here is that they can't do both at the same time. It's like that.
No, I didn't say that. They can do a lot more in the same time.
No, but why does it matter? You're more concerned with what goes on the pitch, but this has no bearing on that. It doesn't take anything away from that. They can do both things at once, and it will have no negative impact in terms of what goes on the pitch.
Yeah, it's just right now, I would have much rather have 9 points, be in a very healthy position going away to Chelsea, than discuss this consultancy firm.
Yeah, sure. But listen, but the consultancy thing can go ahead whether we got 0 points out of 9 or 9 points out of 9. I'm just kind of saying, right now you're obviously you're annoyed, like I am.
I'm angry.
Arsenal fans
I'm not annoyed, Mo. I'm angry. I'm disappointed. I'm in a state of like how they could have fucked this up the way they have.
Yeah.
That's the question that I can't get, and I just feel not cheated. I'm looking for the correct word that I can't come up with one right now. But I just feel that I don't matter. It's as if, you know what, we go out there. If we lose, it's all right. Next game, we go again. We'll try to get it. And I just think this opportunity that we had to get a top 4 was not taken seriously. That's how I feel.
What needs to happen in the club if that's how you feel? A change in culture.
To be honest with you, I'm not really bothered about the culture at all right now. I'm bothered about the results on the pitch.
No. What you've just spoken about, that they go and lose a game and think, oh, it doesn't matter. That is the culture. That is.
I agree. That is part of the culture. And if you put it this way, for me, you've got to. You can't change the players. You can't change the ownership. The only thing we can change is the manager. And the manager should bring a different mentality to the group of players.
He's done his part. And for all of Mikel Arteta's fault, I do think he has played a part in changing the mentality of the group. I really do. And he's got rid of certain people that don't fit in with that. Whether that works or whether he's made the right decisions, time will tell. But you're asking for a change of culture. And here the club is actively trying to change that culture, and you're still complaining about it. And I'm just saying to you, listen.
I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying.
No, come on, Shaheen, you are.
Right now, it's more important. It's more important to get results on the pitch, right, rather than discuss the culture of the club. The culture of the club, changing a manager, bringing somebody. I'll give you an example. Something like an Antonio Conte mentality. You bring that in. That's the first start of changing the culture of the club.
No, listen, there's other ways of changing the culture other than just changing the manager. And if they believe in this manager, rightly or wrongly, you can do other things as well to change a culture. If a team only ever tries to change a culture by changing the manager, well, your culture is consistently going to change. It's going to be individual-led, not principle-led. There's some cultural aspects that should be sort of woven in the fabric of your club, right? So that should remain irrespective of the manager. So this is what I think Arsenal will be trying to do in and around the club. So irrespective of who is at the helm, these cultural attributes remain. So I'm all for that. And I think you need to see it for what it is. That on one hand, you want a change of culture, and Arsenal are doing something about it. You need to kind of be a bit more open-minded about that. You're just frustrated.
I just think Cronkies are not going to sell and go. We know that. It's a lot easier to change the manager rather than director of football, this and that, or the players to start having a different mentality. Because if the team goes out there and they perform differently on a pitch, they don't mess up results the way they have, it will reflect on the fans and how the fans feel, and then the culture of the club, which is a winning culture, winning mentality. Again, I don't want to bring Chelsea into this, but Chelsea's got a winning mentality. You can win a Premier League at Chelsea as a manager and get the sack still, because he didn't win it the right way. I don't want to compare us to that so much, but it all comes because of the managers they had, the type of managers they had. They all were winners. They all want to win, and it kind of reflects onto the club and fans.
That's one way of doing
that's my view on that.
Look, that's one way of doing it, but that doesn't mean that that's best practice. Chelsea have got a culture of being ultra ruthless, whether that's by sacking managers or whether that's by treating players as commodities and basically having a loan farm, which is what Chelsea do, with no real regard as to what happens to these players or their development or anything like that. So, you know, that is their own style, that ruthless style. And clearly Abramovich is a very ruthless individual, which has seen him being denied visa rights and had unsanctioned. I don't want that culture at Arsenal Football Club. I want a better culture, a more community-led culture, a more considerate culture for fans and, you know, the community around the club. And I want that to transcend into the way we do things. So that's just my opinion. But forget Chelsea. I don't really care for their culture, whether it's derived success for them or not. I want to achieve success in a different way, and we've done it in the past. Hopefully, we do it again in the future. There's
one thing we can agree on, that we don't want that type of owner. So that's a good thing that we can agree on. So we've been doing this for about 53 minutes. I know, and I'm conscious that you've got a place to go, a very important place that you need to be. So, do you have any final thoughts for this week's show?
I am just nervous about tomorrow. Looking forward to going to the game though. Anyway, for as long as that lasts, it might last 10 minutes, and we're 1-0 down, and then my excitement just goes. Or who knows? It might last. It might last a lot longer and end in a last-minute winner. Fingers crossed. Like the video if you haven't already. Please subscribe to the Arsenal Lounge, and
subscribe to your channel.
And
shout out to your channel as well.
Yeah. Just type in Mo Hader on YouTube. But listen, we've got about 5 minutes left. Yeah, let's take some questions from the people watching, or some comments from the people watching.
Okay, that's cool if you want to do that, guys. If you want to ask me or Mo any question, put it on a chat, and then we'll try to go through as many questions for the next 5-6 minutes.
And whilst we're waiting for those, Shaheen, what about you? What are your
sorry?
What's your parting thoughts, your pearls of wisdom as we're about to leave before we get some questions in?
I don't know. I just want to thank everybody who are watching, and I just hope that we can go through. We can do as well as we can, considering circumstances, to end of the season, and then there needs to be serious decisions and serious things that needs to happen at Arsenal. The manager needs to be looked at. He's been here long enough. Enough money has been spent. Some players, issues that needs to be addressed, like the striker. You can't buy one good striker. You need two good striker. The central midfield position. There's a big summer coming up for Arsenal.
Good question by Gunnar Greg. Yeah.
Let's start from there. What happens if he loses the next three? Well,
it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because that would be 6 defeats in a row, and kill our season. But
yeah.
If this question is what do I actually think will happen versus what I should think will happen, I'm going to go with what will actually happen. Nothing will happen, because clearly they're not going to sack Arteta. I don't think there'd be any point in sacking Arteta. But what should happen behind the scenes if he loses the next three is that you start running to the market to change him in summer.
Yeah, need to do. Let's take some more questions. My Iranian brother, where are you going, Mo? Are we invited? Mo is going to a family event and we're not invited.
It is my wife's birthday, so no, just me and her.
Happy birthday to Mrs. Haida, by the way.
Thank you very much.
They do predictions for tomorrow. We've already done predictions. I went 2-0 Chelsea. You said 2-0 Chelsea. Lev said 3-0 and Tom was 1-0 Arsenal.
Yeah.
Are you losing passion towards this club?
Do you know what? This is a brilliant question. I have lost passion towards this club, but that's because of other factors. The way they treated Mesut Ozil, the way they distant themselves from Uyghur Muslims, but then all of a sudden they want to be very political when it comes to other things. Because of the moral sort of hypocrisy and inconsistency of the club, actually, yeah, I have lost passion for the club and I have lost love for the club. That could be repaired in an instant with an open letter from the club apologizing to people that were so upset by what the club did, especially with the Uyghur Muslims. But listen, that's not going to come anytime soon. But in terms of on the pitch, no, I haven't lost that passion. I still want to go and spend my weekday evenings going and watching games that I expect Arsenal to lose, So I guess the proof is in the pudding there that I haven't lost that passion on the pitch.
Okay. Mo is more positive than you, Shaheen. He certainly is. About certain things, about some other things, I think I would say we're the same. What can we do to change the non-winning culture we have at the club? Top down or bottoms up?
Well, top down is impossible because we've got the Cronkies at the top. And the Cronkies, they set the culture. It's not about kind of saying the right things. It's about, how you actually are. And they don't have the required ambition to do the top-down cultural change. So when we're talking about top, it can only be the next level below. And then it's not a wholesale cultural change. The problem is within, and it's the Cronkies. Until they go, the culture can never fully, properly change to the extent that's required. Until then, we have to do damage limitation and go bottom up and one step below the top level change.
What do you think is our best means of winning tomorrow, tactic-wise?
I'd say probably just probably watch the Brentford game. And see what they did. But in all honesty, it's going to have to be counter-attack. Chelsea aren't going to take us lightly. They're not going to want to lose to us. Trust me. So they're going to be on their game. And also, they've got an FA Cup final to look forward to as well. Players are going to be playing for inclusion in that. Yes. And they've got competition for places. So, I'd say resolute defending, counter-attack, and really drumming it into the players that you have to be clinical when it comes to those counters.
Taking chances, because we're not going to get a lot. Why not sentiment? One of our regulars. Do you think Arsenal's soft nature and sentimental behaviour is a hindrance to success when you look at more successful clubs across Europe, not just Chelsea, who exemplify a well-run club?
Well, I'd say Liverpool have got some of that softness and sentiment. I don't think they're like a club that people would describe as ruthless, like Chelsea are, for example. So, as I say, I think there is more than one way of doing things. But yeah, I do think to an extent, Arsenal sentimentality and softness has cost us in the past. I do think. I think a good example of how that works is with our transfer dealings, our not only transfer dealings, but negotiations on contracts. We don't have that ruthlessness where I think there's a middle ground that we should be striking, where we're saying that, okay, if you don't sign the contract this year, you're going to spend 12 months doing nothing, or you have to leave. basically. But we allow Lacazette and Nketiah to play and play and play and play their way into lucrative contracts at other clubs. So I think there's a middle ground.
Okay, last question we'll take before we leave. How can Kieran Tierney ever be a future captain with his injury record?
Go on, Shaheen, you take this one. It's a valid point.
Look, we had Mertesacker, who was club captain, and he didn't play almost the whole season. So I think the club captain it's about the player that other players respect, they look up to, and he can pump up the players on the pitch or even off the pitch. You don't necessarily sometimes don't need to be on the pitch.
The thing is, it depends whether you believe that a club captain is only kind of like really needs to do things on the pitch, or whether you believe that the club captain has an influence every single day at training. And I believe in the latter. The club captain might be the one that says to someone, why are you 5 minutes late today? That's not acceptable. We're all meant to be here at the same time. We're all meant to walk out together. We're meant to be a team. We don't want you coming out late. There might be times the manager can't see everything. He might not be close to the pulse in terms of certain things in the dressing room. There'll be definitely things that players might get up to that the manager might not, ever hear about. And a club captain could be that sort of person that says, listen, I'm not having any of this. This is your first warning. And it's who's got that professionalism, who's got that sort of character to be that guy. So I think Kieran Tierney, even in spite of his injury record, can be that guy, can be that club captain that can have that no-nonsense approach that people can respect, because it's about the institution of the football club that they are meant to be almost like the custodian of when it comes to the players. And I think Kieran Tierney can fit that role really well.
Fair, good answer. I'm actually personally very looking forward to this Amazon documentary, Mo. I don't think I don't think you would tell us what we need to know, but still we'll be interested because Arsenal got the censorship right, and I'm sure they will get rid of things that is not in their benefit for us to see. But nevertheless, it will give us a chance to see what's happening behind the scene. Anyway, we'll let you get on and go and enjoy evening with wonderful Mrs. Haida. Give her our regard and happy birthday. Wish her well. Thank you very much for everybody who joined us. Please hit the like, subscribe to Arsenal Lounge, subscribe to Mo's channel. Thank you very much for joining us, Mo. Thank you very much. Any final thoughts?
No, that's all. I think my camera just froze. But no, listen, man, let's go and turn our season around. Let's go and beat Chelsea. Let's go and beat Man United. Imagine how we're going to be feeling. Just all it takes, 2 really, really good performances. If we beat Chelsea and Man United, imagine how we're going to be feeling. Let's manifest this positivity and visualize that success, and then let's just be disappointed 10 p.m.
I won't say anything because we'll leave it on that positive note. So thank you very much for joining us and have a wonderful evening.